Well, first thing is some news, which is a lot of fun news. There's an article here from CloudSec about a Android app used by money mules in India, and I wonder if I can find this app. This app looks like a fun one to analyze for the app hacking class. See if I can get this thing to go. Yeah. So it automates money laundering and shows details about how many people or mule agents are on the platform and so on. And you log in with credentials, which I guess would be stolen and stuff. So, it might be interesting to analyze this app and see what all the screens are and what interesting things we can find there. These guys have figured something out about it. So if I can find that app, I may write that up for a project for the other class. We'll see if it turns out to be interesting, like I hope. So Black Cat is a ransomware group, and this is a very common situation. They ransomwared the medical billing company, and they've frozen up prescription drugs for most of the United States for 10 days now. And someone noticed recently that there was a $22 million payment to their address on the blockchain, suggesting that the prescription billing company, Optum, paid a ransom of $22 million, but now it has kind of come out what happened. They rugged their affiliates. This is a common thing in cryptocurrency. The ransomware gangs typically form like a top organization, and then they lease out to affiliates the ransomware, and they then hack people, and the people on top take a percentage of the cut by running the servers. They've shut down the servers, and apparently they stole the $22 million from their own affiliate, and they're just shutting down and hiding, which they call pulling the rug in cryptocurrency. It happens all the time. And so now we have the situation that Black Cat seems to be out of business. The affiliate still has the data they stole. Black Cat took the money in return for promising to delete the data and give them a decryptor. It's not clear whether they got the decryptor, but the affiliate still has the data. So the affiliate can go back and demand more money, which may be what they do. They are currently, everyone is screaming and yelling and blaming each other and such. So this is fairly common. The criminals are fighting among themselves. And ransomware groups tend to dissolve and then reform 6 months later under a different name because of this sort of stuff. So anyway, that's the problem. That's why an increasing number of people, especially CISA and the U.S. government leaders, have been telling us, don't pay the ransom. You don't want to deal with these people. You don't want to encourage them. They'll just rip you off, And whereas, in fact, the most practical thing for companies is to hire a consultant that understands ransomware groups, and they will tell you whether it's okay to pay the ransom. But I heard a statistic recently that said that 85% of companies pay the ransom. So in most cases, it is the most effective way to get your company back up to pay the ransom, although it's certainly bad for the environment in general. This is a very common problem, goes all the way back, called the tragedy of the commons, where it's better for an individual to do something that messes up the whole world for someone else, and therefore it's hard to find the incentives to preserve the good things in the world. So this one is pretty fun. A Russian spy just called into a WebEx and recorded it. This is why I mentioned in my corporate meetings, somebody always makes sure that they know who everybody that's in there. For this reason, it would be really easy, especially not everybody's working remotely, to just dial into a private thing and record it. And it happens. Let me check for comments here. Okay, there aren't any. All right. All right, so I'm not surprised by this. I expected this to happen. Ivanti makes VPN gateways that are apparently used by a lot of corporations, but about a month ago, warnings came out that there was a really serious vulnerability in them, so serious that people could hack them, they could steal authentication tokens, they could make persistent connections, and even if you reset the gateway to factory defaults, the bad people are still in, so you'd have to do more than that. So Ivanti made a tool to detect if you had been hacked. And that was the recommendation from Ivanti. I noticed that first the U.S. government came out and said, we are ordering every government agency to turn these things off by Friday of that week, which means your people will lose remote connectivity. This is so serious you have to just turn them off. Then a few days later, Ivanti came out with like a cleanup tool. And as I suspected, the problem is their cleanup tool is no good, and that's what happened. They explained here, their cleanup tool came out, but their cleanup tool is not good enough. You can pass the cleanup tool and still be hacked. So now they have another cleanup tool, and like I say, CISA found that the tool failed to detect compromise from investigating multiple hacking incidents. So forensic analysis indicates that these hackers have covered their tracks, And so these things are just bad. And now they are saying you should consider just throwing them away and getting a different brand, which is what I think has been revealed. This company just seems to be so incapable of making a secure device or telling the truth or handling instant response that it's just not recommended anymore. We'll see to what extent people care about the government's advice, but certainly government agencies will care. Anyway, it's bad news for Ivanti. I hope you don't have any Ivanti stock. Anyway, so this is pretty interesting. I heard about this starting over the last year, that when you get calls trying to trick you in stealing your money online, they are usually victims at the other end. And what happens is there are people who are told we got a job for you in another country. They go from another country and the job is running a scam. And they're trapped and you can't leave. And so they're just being forced, they're basically forced labor to lie to you to steal your money. And so I found more than 1,000 victims of human trafficking were freed from Myanmar and repatriated back to China. They were Chinese people who had been somehow tricked into going to Myanmar, and then they ended up working in sort of a sweatshop scamming people, and now they've come back. The problem is they now face criminal charges in China, which is an interesting issue, and certainly the same issue would come up here. The question is, did you know what that job was? Were you really deliberately becoming a criminal? Anyway, they say, once in China, it's unclear whether to be recognized as victims of human trafficking, but they face possible arrest if they are deemed to have traveled to the scam compounds willingly. I think the same thing would be true here. If they actually knew they were taking a job performing crime, then they'd face some prosecution. Anyway, they stopped one of these, and there'll be more coming, I'm sure. That's why we're hearing about it, because law enforcement agencies are becoming aware of this. And see if we can get, okay, so this guy, Ladopo, is the Attorney General of the state of Florida. He is a MAGA lunatic. He's a member of the Frontline Doctors, which is a group that protested during the Trump administration. They protested the COVID vaccine. They pushed the theory that people get diseases because they're having sex with demons in their sleep and stuff like that. And it's just incredible stuff that belongs like a couple centuries ago. And he's been in charge of the Florida medical treatment for a while now. He has actually altered vaccine statistics to make it look like vaccines doesn't work. He published the Wakefield evidence, which is evidence from like 40 years ago. There was a guy named Wakefield that published an article saying that vaccines caused autism, which was completely debunked. But the conspiracy theorists like to track it out, parade this fake data out forever. So anyway, now they have a measles outbreak in Florida. Measles had been eradicated in the United States, but now they're telling people not to take the measles vaccine. So it's spreading again. And they're telling people not to take any vaccines. My first occasion of coming across the horseshoe theory was this: the far right people refused to take the vaccine, and I met people on the far left that refused to take the vaccine because it's like not natural and organic. So when you go too far from the center, you end up in the same place.
Who appointed this guy?
DeSantis. It's part of his war on woke. That's just it.
Ivanti has supposed to headquarters in Salt Lake City.
Ivanti's, yeah, Salt Lake City. Well, yeah, that's.
But then it only has 2 locations in the U.S., but then has in Asia Pacific has 11, and Europe and Middle East has 18.
Worldwide company then. Okay.
So don't know who, where they.
Yeah, I guess they must not be using primarily Chinese components, or they probably would have been banned for that, but they're just being banned for being too sloppy about security, which is probably good.
India has 5.
Yeah, maybe they're primarily India. I don't know where they come from. Anyway, this is interesting. I wonder if this is true. San Francisco claims they have a sharp drop in homelessness and street crime. I don't know. I never go downtown anymore because it seems so awful down there.
They're on drugs. They're on cracks now. They don't do crimes.
I think what I hear is it's fentanyl, not crack.
Yeah, it's fentanyl.
I read articles that say fentanyl is really cheap in San Francisco.
It smells like burning prostate, isn't that?
Oh, that, yeah, anyway.
There's crack, right?
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, yep.
It smells terrible.
Yeah. So this one, there aren't enough technical details for me to make an intelligent decision what this means. They claim they're making an AI worm that spreads from one AI system to another. Now, I know you can jailbreak an AI and get it to repeat information it's not supposed to repeat, but I'm not quite sure how you would get it to spread. But they're saying there are male AIs that will receive email and they have the ability to send email. And in that case, then you could trick it into sending out a copy of the virus infecting other email servers. And that's why they say, you know, no AI should ever be able to send anything without a human intervening, they say. But of course,
There's a report out in China, Xinjiang, by two professors, and they use like an AI model to do like behind malware, and they go automatic.
So you do have spreading malware in Chinese, yeah, well, I guess, all right.
The guy only published a paper that said they done it in a closed network area.
Oh, so they just demonstrated, like proof of concept, yeah.
They use you know, AI for the back end to get it to go.
Yeah, well, anyway, all right, let me check for comments. There aren't any, all right, I'm going to stop the news.